going to talk about this rising tide of senior real estate. You've heard the phrase that John F. Kennedy gets most of the credit for this phrase, a rising tide raises all ships or boats. Yeah, you guys have heard that? Anybody here from Cape Cod or frequently visit Cape Cod? Yeah, you guys are New Englanders, yeah. So Cape Cod really takes credit for that. They said they've had it as a motto for years and years and years. And there's actually pictures online that you can see that their boats are tied to, their mooring lines are tied, and their boats are up out of the water, and that the tide rises, goes in and out twice a day, and like major tide shifts. And so the boats are literally out of the water for a period of time. And when the tide comes back in, and you have to time everything you do based on the tide, right? Well, guess what? As real estate agents, you guys are timing this thing really, really well, right? You want to see why I think that? Yes. Yeah, let's look at that. So, by the way, when you're on these waves, which boat do you want to be in?
The sailboat.
The bigger boat, right? the bigger. Somebody wants to be on the sailboat. Sailboat would be good too, right? I don't want to be in the one that's green. I would really rather have a big. So to me, this is very metaphorical to me, right? I want to be in a very well-equipped, heavy-duty, uber-duper safe, uber-duper like a trawler or a, something or a what is the boat? Those of you who are boaters out in the ocean, what are the boaters that we all like that Popeye was in? A tug. No, yeah, a tug, but there's also something. Chris, what's the boat that I like that's really sturdy and strong, like a Nordhaven? A trawler, yeah. So I want a trawler because they can go a long way on very little fuel, and they're very sturdy, like they can take a lot, right? And so as CSHPs, I want us all to be in the kind of boat that can make it through this very successfully, very effectively, right? Very profitably, and come out on the other side fully intact with a vessel that you can resell for a lot of money. Is that a good thing? Yes. Yeah, all right. So here's some statistics. I showed this last year at conference, and I'm showing it again because I'm going to do a little bit of comparison. So you'll notice that the statistics on how many homes, this is a National Association of Realtor graph, how many homes have sold in a year's period of time. So this would be 2021 report, so this would be the previous year. But if you add up the three mature market categories, the older boomers, the silent generation, and they basically call it the boomers and the silent generation, we've got 51% of all homes sold were sold by a senior. 51%, okay? Now, this is the next slide, so this is the newest report. 48%. What? The numbers went the wrong way. Why? No? COVID. They hunkered down, right? They're not moving during COVID. You're lucky if they even went out, right? And, well, not lucky. They didn't go out because of safety, right? So the numbers went down, but not by much. Still, the bulk of the housing market that sold by someone age 65, roughly 65 or older. And then I want to go back. We're going to rewind to 2013. I went back and found this chart, and look at the number there. The silent generation, I didn't even include, I included the boomers on the right-hand side, but the older boomers, the silent generation, the GI generation, which is now very few people in the GI generation left, right? So 40%. Only 40% in 2013. So are we doing what we think it should be doing, right? Demographically, it follows the trend of our aging society. We're going to have more properties that are sold by older adults. Okay, so here's another graph for you. This one really, I had some fun with this one because this one went all the way back to like, I want to say 1920 or something like that. I don't remember, but I didn't use those for purposes of our conversation. I wanted you to see from 2000. Then 2000 is about right when Chris and I decided we were going to start specializing, between 2000 and 2002. There were 35 million people over the age of 65, both male and female, okay, together. 35 million. We were selling roughly 100 to 120 homes a year working mainly with seniors. 80% of that business was listing business, and it was older adults. Now, fast forward to the next category. So we got 2020. So 2020, 20 years later, 55 million people over 65. Now, they didn't have a graph for 2030, so I just went back and found some numbers and just kind of stuck them in there for you. But in 2030, there were 71 million people. I'm sorry, there were, like I'm talking in the past. There will be 71 million people 65 or older, and 33 million of those will be over 75.
Wow.
Okay, you're seeing a pattern here, right? I went ahead and added the graph for 2050 because some of us in the room are still going to be selling real estate in 2050, right? Some of you may be saying, no, not me, Nikki, I'm not doing it. But those of you who are, you need to see that 21 million people will be over 85. I'm not talking about the 55-year-olds anymore, you guys. They're old news. We're talking about people who are 65 and older, and really more importantly, 85 and older. And by the way, they're living in homes. They're not living in nursing homes. They're not living in long-term care. These are people in their homes in residential living situations. Okay, so I thought it was fun because in my mind, I'm like, okay, just from 2000 rather to 2030, which is just 8 years from now, there will be literally double the number of seniors in the market in the United States than there was when I started. Double. We started early, and I thought at the time it was a pretty smart decision we were doing. And now here we are coming up on 8 years. We will double the population of seniors. Will double. You ready to see some more numbers? This is fun. This is where real estate comes in. All right. So in 2021. Statistics from NAR say that 2021, 6.9 million people sold a house. Okay, projected to be 7 million in 2023 next year. All right, we're going to do some math. I know some of you, how many of you don't like numbers? It's okay. There'll be somebody at your table who does, and they will help us. All right, so if the number of people, and I'm using a very conservative number, 48% of the people selling their home are over 65, and let's use 7 million as a nice round number, and you say, what is 48% of 7 million? Oh, look, I already did the math for you. There are over 3 million homes going to be sold this next year by seniors.
Wow.
Okay? 3 million. Plus. Now, this is my local statistic because I want every one of you to do your own local statistic. Because I know 3 million, la, 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 la. How many are in my market? That's really all that matters to me, right? So I did the numbers. Went back 3 years, roughly 30,000 homes in the Oklahoma City metropolitan area in our MLS that we subscribe to have sold homes annually. In 2020 and 2021, it was just under 30,000, so I rounded up. If you take that number, multiply it by what percent? 48%. 14,400 of those sales annually were seniors. That's 1,200 sales per month, seniors only. Shannon, are you hearing this? We're slacking. We are slacking on our team. So, can any one of you do 1,200 sales yourself?
No.
Next year? Right now, the way you're tooled, right now, could you do it? Brett, could y'all do it? No? Mittens, could y'all do it? 1,200? No? Catherine, could you do 1,200? Right now, the way you are. 1,200. Should we do more math? Break down 1,200 by 30 days.
Yeah. Oh my God.
How many listings per day is that you've sold? Lisa, you have the number. 40, right? Roughly 40. Should y'all list a house and sell 40 houses a day right now? I just want you to get, I need you to get in your mind that in Oklahoma City, if Shannon and Kim and myself and Chris all get together and we say we want to sell 100 transactions a year, 100. Who's going to do the other 14,300? Where's Connie? Connie, could you do it? You get 100, we get 100. Who's going to do the other 14,200? You guys get what I'm going with this? So how many people do we need in Oklahoma City to serve the senior demographic? About 1,400. Right? Isn't that crazy? I mean, when you start thinking. So, okay, so I want to be really clear about the title of this talk. A rising tide raises all boats. And if you're a boat, is the rising tide going to raise all realtors? Well, it's going to raise all of us in this room because we're ready. It's going to sink a few people, right? They're not going to be ready and they're going to drown because they don't know what to do with this client, right? If you want to use the metaphor, that's what's going to happen. So if we're going to not only increase our business, let's just put that aside for a second because that's kind of a given. Do those however many, 3.36 million people need a better realtor? Right? Maybe not all of them, but let's just say 50% of them really need somebody who actually gets what they're going through, right? Let's say some of them are going to be like one of our panelists, that's going to be on later today is, they were perfectly capable. They didn't need anything special. Shannon did a lot of special stuff for them, but they were perfectly capable. But we're going to have some people that you're going to see, they really need a lot of hand-holding, right? And so what about those people? So here's what's going to happen. When we first started doing this, they thought we were crazy. Nuts, in fact. Like, what are you doing? And now, all of a sudden, all the brokerages, all the big brands, they're wanting to get on the bandwagon. All of a sudden, the demographics are high enough that they're going, hey, we should probably look into this senior thing. And they're seeing dollar signs. Please don't be confused. The corporate entities, they see dollar signs. Now, the agents, there's a lot of heart-centered agents out there. So this isn't about the agents. This is about the companies. And so not just brokerages, but who else? I look at, this is what's going to happen. We've seen it in our market. You've seen it in yours. There are home investors out there that are taking advantage of people who don't have any idea what their home is worth. There are real estate brokerages out there taking advantage of people, and we've seen this. It started in Florida. It's migrated now across the country, but there's a company out there, I've talked about it on our Monday mastermind calls, that is now taking money from people who are desperate. They can't make home repairs. So they're saying, I'll give you money. This is a real estate brokerage. I'll give you money, and all you have to do is sign this 2-page agreement. They go and file it at the county. And whenever that house is sold, whether you're living or dying, doesn't matter. If you're gone and it's your estate, whoever your estate inherited your estate's going to pay that real estate brokerage 3%. No matter what you borrowed, by the way, it's not a loan. So I give you $200, and 25 years later, because you know how long that signed agreement's for? 40 years. It's a 40-year agreement. So 30 years from now, my kids go to sell my house. They don't have any idea I had that agreement for $200 to fix my storm door. And they go sell my house. And guess what? They go to do title work, and there's a thing, and the title company says, no, you owe this company 3%. But I'm not using that company. It doesn't matter. You still owe them 3%, but I already put it under contract with this realtor. I already owe them 6%. Well, then guess what? You now owe 9% for selling your house. Is that okay with you guys? No. But we're going to have more of that and not less. We're going to have more home investors at your networking events with senior living communities handing out their cards that say they are senior transition specialists, when they don't have one lick of training other than how to buy your house cheap. And senior community reps don't know the difference. They're not researching that. Do you think any of them have gone to our website to see what the heck a CSHP is? No. They trust you. And the unfortunate part about that, it's good for you, but it's bad for us because they trust everybody. And so anybody can say anything and take advantage of people that we care about. Does that make sense? So we're going to have more scams, we're going to have more predators, more opportunists, we're going to have more fraud, we're going to have more exploitation, and we're going to have more freeloaders. And what do I mean by freeloaders? Mostly times it's their family. Their kids, their grandkids, their niece, their nephew, living in their house for free because they can't go live on their own and grandma's footing the bill, right? We have a couple of those right now. They've moved into a retirement community but can't sell their house because Junior's living there. Yep. Well, he's getting back on his feet again. He'll just be there for a little while. Okay. So we have got to raise the bar, right? I used to talk about this in terms of just realtors. This used to be, we've got to be better than realtors, right? We got to be better than the average realtor. But it's not just realtors anymore, guys. We got to be better than everybody else out there. The home investors, the fraudulent people out there doing loans at ridiculous interest rates. They're doing it because they can, right? It's not illegal, maybe unethical, but it's not illegal. So we gotta raise the bar. We gotta be better educators. We gotta be better advocates. We gotta be better negotiators, marketers, communicators, and frankly, better leaders. There was a period of time I had written a blog about this several years ago because it was cathartic for me to write the blog because I was so irritated and actually really angry. We had gotten a referral from a move manager, and we were thrilled because this was before we had a move management company, and we were like, okay, this is it. Like, we're going to bond with this move manager, and we're going to go out and work together and prove that, you know, we're valuable and we can work together. And so went out, did the consult with the homeowner. She lived alone, beautiful home, fair amount of income and money, not uber wealthy, but she was doing all right. Her daughter was her sole caregiver. Her daughter worked full-time out at the Air Force Base. And so I went out to the client's house to talk with her because we were getting ready we'd done the listing paperwork. We were going to get her prepped for what would happen once the house, she had moved and the house was emptied. It was like a day or two before the move. And I wasn't doing the move, right? The move manager had referred me. So that move manager was in charge of the move. And I go out there and she didn't answer her door. And so it was unlocked and I went on in. She was laying face down on her sofa. I wasn't sure if she was conscious, but she was, thankfully. She had low blood sugar, she had not eaten, she had taken pain medications for her back pain. She had an open sore, abscessed on her hip, and she was moving into a active adult 55 and older patio home community. Because that makes sense, right? And so I'm concerned, so I look in her refrigerator to see if I can get her something to try to get her, consciously kind of aware. Nothing in her refrigerator. So I left and went and got some Boost from the Walgreens and brought it back and kind of got her drinking. Called her daughter, told her what was going on. The daughter says, I'll be there later today. I said, she really needs to go to the doctor because she's got this thing, right, going on. So the daughter arranged for that. When I talked to the daughter, I said, have you thought about possibly assisted living for mom? At least temporarily, right? Because she's recovering from this back thing. She's got this open sore. And I'm not even sure she would qualify with that open sore for assisted living, you guys. We're talking nursing care at this point, right? But I was optimistic. So we're having this conversation, and the daughter says, well, I don't think we can afford it. I said, really? I said, well, let's talk about your budget. And now, mind you, this is the first conversation I'd had with these people about, because she had a plan. All I was doing was what? Selling the house. And I said to the daughter, I said, you know, let's look at that. So we looked at her budget, and as it turns out, she actually did have enough money to be able to live in a community with some health care support. So we got her a tour. They toured this community with assisted living. They accepted her, and they were so grateful. They're like, this is a much better fit for her, because then the daughter can come in. They have nursing support if she needs it, and back up. I was like, oh, thankfully. So that's what they decided to do. I get a phone call. Well, first from the daughter saying that the 55 and older complex where she was going to move won't give them their deposit back. So I made a phone call to them, and here's how that phone call went. She didn't know who I was. She didn't. I told her who I was, but she clearly didn't put two and two together. And I said, so this woman would like to get her deposit back because she has a health care issue and she can't move to your community. I'm sure that that's your policy, right? And she said, no, we actually don't refund the deposit. It's $1,000. If she put that down, she's not going to get it back. And I said, but this is a health care. She goes, it doesn't matter. And she said, there's some realtor meddling in this deal and has told her that she should move to a different community. And we're a little pissed about it. Oh my gosh, my ears are red. And I couldn't stop myself. I couldn't. I said, well, I'm the realtor, and I'm telling you that you are inappropriate in accepting her to your community to begin with. And if you think I'm meddling, then I'm more than happy to have a conversation about who's being ethical here and who's not. Well, so then, after that conversation ended beautifully, I get a phone call from the move manager saying I screwed her because that was her referral source. They referred it to her. She referred it to me. Now I have since referred them elsewhere, and guess what? They don't like her anymore. So who's she mad at? Me. So we had another lovely conversation about why we were 2 days before a move and she had had not one single staff member to this person's house to help her prep. Not one thing packed, not one thing marked. Nobody had been there. She's moving in 2 days. She's got a 3,000 square foot house moving into 1,000 square feet. When do you think somebody might show up over here and they would have seen her face down on the couch with an abscess hip and a back problem on pain medication and no food in her fridge? You know what she said? Why do you care? You're just a realtor. You want to piss me off. I don't know how many days I fumed about that and agonized and went back and forth from, Nikki, you're so stupid. Why did you screw that up? You know, you had this perfect in with this move manager, and to, yes, that's my job to do the right thing, to, I could have done that better, to, I should have communicated with the move manager, like all the things, right? All the things. And at the end of the day, I slept really well because, guys, at the end of the day, that human being in that home, the daughter included, needed somebody better than that. Right? Yeah. Thank you. I'm not looking for accolades, but what I want you to hear is you have permission. I want you to have permission to be the realtor who meddles in that stuff. Right? Because we have an obligation. If you are gonna put CSHP behind your name, I'm gonna stand right here and say you have an obligation to pay attention to that stuff. And you have to put that before the transaction. And at the end of the day, we've lost some transactions, I'm sure, because of the things I've said or done or implied. And I'm okay with that, because when it's the right thing, it's the right thing. I'm not so sure that everybody feels that way outside of this room. Right? There's a lot that don't. And so I'm just going to again say you have permission. Now here's the next slide is You know, you see this in the basic class. Those of you who haven't taken our Success in Seniors Real Estate class, this will be a new graphic for you. But I put these boxes up to demonstrate that when you meet somebody and you tell them you're a realtor, they put you in a box. And it's their preconceived notion of what a realtor is. And they either see you as a realtor, and they know what a realtor does. They know the basic functions of a realtor. Or they put you in that back box where with the red one, that basically, not because seniors are a target, but because they know realtors who are just not good, right? Or if you're a specialist, they may put you in a box that they go, well, I don't really know what that is. Tell me more about it. But this, for today's purposes, here's what I see the box is saying. So those of us in the room, those of you who are working on your CSHP, that box of people says the possibilities for making a great living while also making a positive difference in the life of others, the possibilities are endless, right? The people in the red box are saying what? Seniors are an easy target. And that's not just realtors, that's anybody out there. And then the people in the blue box that are just typical realtors are saying, seniors? Really? Why would I do that? Right? Because they're busy focusing on Zillow leads and online marketing and social media and, God forbid, TikTok videos. Right? I'm getting there. Next year, maybe I'll be there, but today I'm not there yet. So TikTok is the way of the future, they tell me. That's painful. Painful. I have a 30-year-old son. Kim and I called him one day and said, Caleb, what do you think we need to be doing to market this class for better buyers? Kim and I are sitting there on speakerphone. He says, TikTok, Mom. And I was like, no. Kim's like, oh, I'll do some research. We'll embrace it at some point. Maybe. Here's where I want to get to today. The possibilities, frankly, for what we do and how we do it are endless, right? Naomi, we have some little things over there I want you to pass around to each table while I'm talking about this. So, we were talking with some new people yesterday about the class that we do, Success in Seniors Real Estate. How many of you have taken the class, have completed it, right? Yeah. Right, the vast majority. All right, great. Yeah. Tell Siri that I'll get back with her later. Right. Siri, every once in a while, Siri just talks. Have y'all noticed that? She just goes, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, well, it's because I wasn't talking to you. I'm talking to my phone now. So I was talking to some new people yesterday about the class, and, you know, Paul pointed out, you know, we have this framework. We have this class built to where you take the first half of the class, which is service, right? How to serve the senior client, the various differences between them, and we're going to talk more about that today in our next general session, and how different people have different needs that we can help with or problems that we can solve. And then the second part of the class is about building your business, right? It's about what are some of the proven ways that many of us, not just Chris and I, but many of us have shown work to build your business around this. So I think about it metaphorically, like to digress from the boat metaphor for a minute. Let's talk about houses. We're all familiar with how a house is built, right? So you drive into a neighborhood where there's several houses being built, and they're all pretty standardized. It's one of those neighborhoods. And all the slabs, when you drive by, kind of look the same, right? Inherently, you know, they're not exactly the same, but they look the same. And then they start to frame it, and the sticks start to go up. If you're here in Oklahoma, they're sticks. If you're down in Florida, maybe they're concrete blocks. Thank God for that, right? But whatever it is, it kind of all looks similar, yeah? Same color, same look, yeah, okay. And then they start to put the siding or the brick and the facade on it and the roof, and it all looks very similar. And they finish it, and they put the sod in, they put the yard in, and if you drive by and you go, you know, there's a little different color, maybe a different choice of porch or roof, but they all look very similar. But then the new owners move in. And if you could go into the 5 houses that you'd been driving by, once the new owners have moved in and you walk in the door, are they all the same?
No, completely different.
They're completely different. Different paint colors, different flooring, different furnishings, different layout, different everything. And that's how I want your class to be for you. The class itself it's the foundation, it's the brick, it's the roof, but it's not your personal touch, right? Jan just couldn't help herself. Could not help herself.
I love bubbles.
Realtors. So when you walk into these homes, they're different. And that's how your business is going to be. We want you to use the tools from the class and from the conference and from the panels and from the other people you meet. There is no cookie cutter way to do this business. Did I mention how many million people are going to sell their homes next year? How many? 3.36. That's just seniors, right? That's just seniors. So that's the percentage of seniors. Do you think they all need the exact same thing from the agents? No. Do you think they're all going to connect with me? Laura, do you think they're all going to connect with you?
Of course.
Of course they will. Again, realtors. But we know, inherently we know this, and yet sometimes we want to keep all of our secrets to ourselves. I don't want anybody to know what I'm doing because they might get part of that 3 million transactions that are out there. So I'm going to ask you guys today to focus on 3 things for the week. 3. People. Put people first. And guess what? The people you are people. Is that accurate? We're all humans in this room, right? We're going to put people first. Put each other first. Put your health first. Put your needs first. And put your clients' needs and those human beings. Houses are secondary. Houses are secondary. People first. Second, I want you to be thinking about purpose in 2 ways. Purpose meaning, what is your purpose? What drives you? And being on purpose. Being intentional. Having a purpose. Does that make sense? Not just willy-nilly doing it, right? Like we were taught when we got our real estate license. Oh, you got your license now. Go, fly. Oh, Lordy mercy. There was nothing purposeful about that, right? Purposeful was to just figure it out. And then the third one is possibility. So everybody